2019. The hour is 6 p.m. Notice having been duly published and posted according to law. This is the time set for the Roy Planning agenda. We will start with item number 1 on the agenda, declaration of conflicts. I will,
Pledge allegiance.
after we do the Pledge of Allegiance. Jason Spar will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Item number 1 on the agenda is a declaration of conflicts. Do any of the commissioners have any conflicts to declare on any of the items on this agenda?
Nope.
There being none, we'll move on. We're going to skip down to item number 8, to consider a request for architectural approval for the Barclay Group located approximately 1967 and 1985 West, 5700 South. The applicant has a plane to catch, so if the applicant will come on up to this podium here.
Name, rank, and serial number.
Yeah, please state your name
Molly Zemer,
and your address.
2390 East Camelback Road, Suite 200, Phoenix, Arizona 85016.
Oh, right around the corner.
Yes.
Okay.
Do I need
Please go ahead and tell us what you want us to
Present
know.
whatever you.
to? Okay, thank you, Chairman, Vice Chair, and Commissioners. We are going to be acquiring the former Gold's Gym building and right now there's a physical therapy tenant next door and then a vacant space. Our intent is to acquire the building and have the fitness operate for a period of time as well as the physical therapist, and then eventually improve the exterior elevations of the building. This is a rendering. And then in phases we'll improve the interior and then eventually expand EOS Fitness into the remaining space in the building and then reopen as one larger gym fitness facility.
Mr. Parkinson, do you have any comments?
Well, any questions for her?
I have no questions. Does anybody else have questions?
So basically, the facade will be changing in the whole building,
Correct.
and then you'll go inside and
Yes.
do remodeling after that?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, as she mentioned, this is a request for architectural approval for the exterior of the building. The way our ordinance reads is any modifications to the exterior require planning commission approval, so that's why they're in front of you. She just kind of gave you a brief history of what they're planning on doing, occupying the entire building. So their proposal is to modify the exterior. So the pictures that are there now are kind of what it looks like today, and then kind of the rendering of what it will be like afterwards. Staff's kind of reviewed it, and there are a few issues with the proposal. I've kind of already gone over with her. You know, the length of the wall, anything longer than 30 feet does have to have some sort of vertical break in it. So they will get with their architect and kind of figure out some architectural things that they can do and whatnot. And but for the most part, other than that one issue, it meets the ordinance. I do have the materials, but like always, I forget something, and it's sitting in my office. I can bring them if you guys want to, but the colors here that you've got are pretty much the same. It's some stone that's kind of a light tannish gray, and then a stoner wood. I can't remember which one.
Yeah, it's an engineered wood.
Engineered wood, so concrete wood that's going to be paneling that's along the side. You can see it's the brown that's underneath the, if I had a pen, I could show you, but, and then the blue is, again, just similar thing, just the blue in color, and then stucco on other locations. So materials-wise, colors-wise, it meets the ordinance. Again, I can go get it if you desire.
I think the picture's pretty
But
explicit.
staff would just recommend approval with the conditions as mentioned in the staff report.
Okay. Any questions of Mr. Parkinson? There being none, I will accept a motion on this matter.
I recommend that we approve the architectural review and conditions as stated on, in the staff report, with exceptions as stated in the staff report.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? There being none, it passed. Thank you very much. Good luck on getting your airplane. Okay. We will now go back up on the top of the agenda, and we'll go to legislative items, which is item number 2. This is time set for a public hearing to consider a request to amend the zoning map from LM Light Manufacturing to RE20 Residential Estates for the properties located at approximately 5149
You're on
South.
item 3,
I'm sorry?
so you're listing item 3, not 2?
I probably am. I probably
Oh, wait,
skipped.
no?
I'll start again.
No, you're right, I've just got it mixed.
Start again, and then we'll get it right.
I'm going to start again to make sure we have a correct record. Okay, this is item number 2. This is an item to consider a request to amend the zoning map from LM Light Manufacturing to RE20 Residential Estates for the properties located at approximately 5149 South, 2700 West. Is the applicant for this present? Please come up, state your name and address.
My name is James Packer, 5149 South, 2700 West. And we wanted to get, have it rezoned where I can build a pole barn instead of what I got. It'll look a lot nicer, a lot nicer. And now I keep my stuff nice, keep it out of the weather, and improve my property, and that's
And
about
that-
it.
and that's about it?
That's it.
Okay. Mr. Parkinston?
As mentioned, he's looking to rezone the property. Right now, it's light manufacturing, and the reason why he wants to build a kind of a garage, a pole barn in the backyard, but the issue is single-family homes are non-conforming uses in the light manufacturing zone. The ordinance states that you can expand upon a non-conforming use. You can't upgrade, I mean, you can upgrade it, say it's, the exterior needs, some finishing and stuff, they can do that, but they just can't upgrade and better the property. So when he came to me to suggest, well, let's just rezone it. The future land use map has that entire area to be low-density residential, even though there's currently manufacturing zone in that area. The map on the left to your right shows that there is one parcel kind of in the middle of the light manufacturing it's zoned RE20. That was done a couple years ago. This time when Mr. Packer came in, I asked him to kind of go talk to your neighbors, see if anybody else would like to as well. So he's gone to a couple of them. That's why we've got 4 right now that are wanting to join in on him. I think at public hearing, we'll have another lady, or family, I'll say, husband and wife are there, asking to be included as well. So staff would recommend approval because it does align with the general plan to make it single-family in nature like it pretty much is, except for a few light manufacturing uses that are there. That way, he can now build his pole barn. And then anybody else that would like to, improve upon their house and do other things like that, then now have that ability.
All righty. Okay. Is there anyone else present that would like
Want
to?
to
We gotta go
open
to
it up?
public hearing first.
I'm sorry. I'll be back later. I will accept a motion to open this to public hearing.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? There being none. Okay.
Now you
We now have a public hearing, so is there anybody else open that wants to speak about this? Please come on up.
Hi, my name is David Tracy, and I own the 2 lots that would be in between the 4 lots that would be rezoned.
Okay,
They're at 5125 and 5135 south. And one lot has my home on it, and then the other lot has my business on it. And now it's, now it is zoned manufacturing. And my question is, well, I've got a couple of questions. The one question is, in the R20, if it was switched from the light manufacturing to an R20, that says residential estates. Does that mean that you would have, you could have more than one house there if it's estates or apartments, or it would just be a single-family home, or what? What is the designation for the R20?
you want to answer
I'll
this
answer
now?
after.
or
He'll answer after you get through.
Afterwards, yes.
Pardon me?
Go ahead and state all your questions, and after we have all your
Okay,
questions, Mr. Parkinson, who's the
then
expert
the
on
other
this,
one
will
is-
tell you.
My use of the property in between those 2 zones, is my use of the property going to change? I think probably my property would be, those 2 lots would be worth less money if they had the residential on both sides. Because now you have, on 52, you have the storage sheds. There's 2 operations there. Then there's me. Then further on down the block, you've got Force Manufacturing, and you've got another manufacturing place on the, would be the north side of him. So that area isn't just residential. I mean, there's like, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, there's 5 businesses there. And if the businesses are gonna be affected by the zoning change, then I think, there should be a brand-new meeting, and the people that are down the street that have the businesses, they should also be notified if there is gonna be a change around them. And then the other thing would be, let's see. I can't remember what the other thing was. It would just be the RE20, the use of the RE20. Would it just be a single home situation? And would my property rights and the other thing was, if you do change those places from RE20, are they able to keep their horses or not in an RE20? That would be another question that you should answer for the property owners that are thinking about changing it. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Dusty Turner. I own the lot of 5097 South, 2700 West. It's north of there you go, perfect. And I just also want to be under consideration of rezoning to residential.
Okay?
Is there anyone else that would like to be heard on the matter? Again, please state your name and your address.
Hi, my name's Kay Buckley. I'm at 5121 South, 2700 West, Roy, Utah. All these 3 people that's just been up there are all my neighbors next, right and left. The questions I have are pretty much what they have, the same thing. I do have one, though. Is there going to be any cost to change to rezone? Because one person was told that it would, another person said no. Another question I have is, isn't it grandfathered in that you can keep animals in whether the zone is changed or not? And that's pretty much what I need to know. I'd like to be able to have the option to keep animals back there. I'd like to have the option to maybe down the road put a different garage at my place. If
I ever did a business, I'll tell you, it would probably be an ant farm.
Well said. Is there anyone else that wants to be heard on this matter? There being none? Okay, we'll hear from Mr. Parkinston. We have somebody that's coming up.
My name is Marcus Toscano. I live on 5161 South 2700 West, right next to Jimmy. I'm the fence right there. I got the same question that Tracy had. I mean, is it gonna change value? Is it gonna allow us to build another house behind my house? That's my main question. Because right now I guess we're not allowed to do that. So that's all I gotta say, please. I'm not against it or nothing like that. I just wanna make sure that, like this lady saying, we don't want prices to go down, prices to go up, you know, stuff like that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I see no one else. No one else wants to come and speak on this matter? Okay. Now, Mr. Parkinston,
Want to close the public hearing?
close it.
I move we go out of a public hearing.
Second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? There being none, the public
get
hearing is closed. Now, Mr. Parkinston.
To answer the questions, the RE20 residential estates is a single-family zone only. So only single-family homes could exist. So the neighborhood would basically change the same other than his pole barn. Would be introduced, and anybody else would want to, you know, add to their homes, add on to it, or create, you know, build garages and stuff. As for change of use or zone, no, unless your property is identified on this map, your zoning stays the same. So if you're light manufacturing, then you would stay light manufacturing. Both business and your home. As for farm animals, right now any property that has farm animals in the light manufacturing is again considered non-conforming. Non-conforming rights exist, or grandfathering, depending on how you want to call it, exist, but for animals, they're really hard to prove. When did they exist? How many did it exist? Did it continue for, you know, since then? Was there a decline in numbers at all? The RE20 is actually our one of our zones that allows for farm animals. So you actually now become a permitted right rather than a non-conforming right. So you actually, if you go to sale, you actually can say it's a permitted right to have farm animals, rather than trying to prove that you have a non-conforming right for farm animals. So in this instance, it actually helps you further on down the line. Property values, that I don't know. I really don't know what it would do or what it wouldn't do. And as for building another house, again, it's a single-family zone, so you'd have to have enough land to subdivide it in order to be able to have that home behind you. So I hope I answered everybody's questions.
Any of the commissioners have questions? Mr. Parkinson? I will entertain a motion on this matter.
I recommend that we recommend to the city council approval of the request to amend the zoning map from light manufacturing to RE20 residential estates with, excuse me, with the conditions as outlined in the staff report and discussed during this meeting.
Second.
The lady in the back said she can't hear. He made a motion to approve, or to recommend approval to the city council, because that's all we're doing here tonight. All right, is there a second?
I second.
Don't fight, girls. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Roll
No,
call.
roll call vote.
Commissioner Collins,
Aye.
Chair Brand,
Yes,
Commissioner Payne,
Aye.
Commissioner Bills,
Aye.
Commissioner Karras,
Aye.
Commissioner Spar,
Aye.
Commissioner Mifflin.
Aye.
Okay, passes.
all righty.
Just so everybody knows, this is scheduled to be on the city council meeting next week on Tuesday.
Okay, thank you. We'll move to item number 3 under legislative items. This is also a public hearing. This is a public hearing to consider a request to amend the zoning map from R3, multiple family residence, to CC, community commercial, for the properties located
Just
at
check.
approximately 3926 West, 4000 South.
He changed that address, so it's Midland.
He changed the address.
He said
Yeah,
amended
it's an amendment.
agenda.
I didn't get the amended one. I'm going to restate this because I had
Oh,
the
we all know
wrong-
what you meant.
Okay. This is the time for a public hearing to consider a request to amend the zoning map from R3 multifamily residence to CC community commercial for the properties located at approximately 3926 South Midland Drive. Thank you.
There's the proponent.
Hi, my name is John Owens, address 376 East, 400 South, Suite 120, Salt Lake City, Utah, 84111. And I am working on behalf of the owner, Roy Well, and this request is being made in connection with a simultaneous application for subdivision of this property, as well as the property located to the south and west, that's also owned by Roy Well, so this will be covered by a subdivision. When I was talking to Steve earlier today, we talked about the idea of modifying this request to have it coincide the eastern boundary of where we're asking to change from a zone to the CC zone to be the eastern boundary of Lot 5 in the proposed subdivision that we'll be talking about in a moment. This project is a 6-lot subdivision, 5 of which will be commercial for sure, and the 6th being the eastern part of this particular lot that conceivably could be a residential use. So we talked about modifying it to that level. I don't think there's anything else that I have.
Nothing else?
No.
Okay.
Steve.
Go ahead and do you have any questions of us? Questions of Steve?
No, I don't. I've talked about it with Steve, and I think I'm up to speed.
You
on
think you're up
everything.
to speed? All righty.
I'm gonna tackle items 3 and 4, because they kind of deal with the same properties. One's a rezone, which is a legislative, the subdivision is administrative, so there's kind of some fine lines, but I'll talk about it, and then you'll have to have 2 motions, but we'll just open the same public hearing, because again, they deal with the same process. Again, it's, when you look at the zoning map, the parcel that's highlighted in red or in black on the other map, the black one is the future land use map, so it wants it to be commercial for when we grow up, so to speak. The zoning map, this particular parcel is zoned R3. So the request is to change it to be CC, which it would be commercial. In talking with him, and again, this is why I kind of want to do the subdivision. When you look at the subdivision plat, they would like to have Lot 6, which is kind of that top western one, remain residential, and Lot 5, which is part of this lot, go commercial. So they want to just kind of make that lot split zoned until it's subdivided, and then all of a sudden it's, regular zoned. That way they have some options because it is in the back. No frontage, commercial is always difficult to find. It's not saying that if they find someone commercially that wants to go there, they wouldn't come back and request the rest of it to be commercial. But right now, they just want the front half to be commercial, the back half to remain the same. Zoning-wise, again, commercially, it meets the future land use map for that front part. And as part of their subdivision, again, within commercial, there is no lot size minimum, lot width minimum. It's more of access and making sure that the site plans and stuff meet parking and whatnot, but no site plans have been submitted. At this point, they're just preparing it for future development. So the subdivision meets all aspects of the subdivision ordinance, and the rezone, as mentioned above or before, it meets at least the front half meets the future land use map. So staff would recommend approval on both accounts with the conditions stated in the staff report.
For both items?
Yes.
3 and 4, okay.
So we only have to do one public hearing.
All right.
We only have to do one public hearing.
Okay, I accept, you're the applicant, go ahead. Tell
Yes,
us what
if,
you want.
I didn't realize we were gonna do both of these at once, so I just wanted to identify a couple of items in the staff report, just to mention them in passing, so that, to the extent that we have a little bit more to add. On the soils relative to the liquefaction and groundwater, we're gonna be doing, soils work, soil studies, and we're gonna get some more definitive information on the plat that addresses that, so, more so than just an overall map that's on a fairly large scale. So we want to reserve the right to make a more specific commentary on that particular issue. That's item A1. We are in process with an application for UDOT, which will address item A2 and B2. I wanted to identify also that our CCNRs will require each lot to meet the parking requirement, even though we do have the cross parking in that central area, Steve, so just give you a heads up on that. Our access off of 4,000 will be substantially wider than the private drive that accesses the building on the other side, so each side of that access will not exactly line up, but it will be effectively lined up. Does that make sense? It's quite a bit wider. And then I wanted to, because we're modifying the extent of the rezone, I just wanted to make a note that the fencing required to separate the commercial from the residential will be moved from the east edge of Lot 6 to the west edge of Lot 6, which coincides with the east edge of Lot 5. So just wanted to provide that little modification of what the staff report says. So that's it. Thank you.
I'll entertain a motion to open the public hearing for items number 3 and 4, which is item to consider request to amend the zoning map from R3 multifamily residential to CC community commercial for properties located approximately 3926 west, 4000 south, and to consider a request, I'm reading off the wrong one again, sorry.
Number 3.
Number 3 will be restated. This is a public hearing to consider the request to amend the zoning map from R3 multifamily residential to CC community commercial for the properties located at approximately 3926 South Midland Drive. And item number 4, a request to consider the preliminary subdivision approval for Royal Well subdivision for the properties located at approximately 2792 West, 4000 South. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? There being none, we will move into a public hearing. If there's anyone present who would like to speak on this matter, please come up to the podium, state your name and your address. Thanks.
My name is Cindy Danner. We live at 2678 West, 3900 South, Roy, Utah. We are newly current residents on our second year there. Retired, chose to live in Roy. We do have some concerns. So I know that you said you can't ask questions
Well, you can ask, I can't answer until after the
till
public hearing.
after. Okay. Our biggest concern is we've worked hard, we chose that, and it has Olympic-sized pool in the backyard. Right now, we're at that area where the Roy flood zone would be, but this side would be right by multi-residence. And then we are concerned about the safety of coming over and being in our yard. You know, we keep the pool covered, we have safety there and stuff, but multi-resident, we are concerned about that. We really are concerned. So I wanted to make sure I understood that it's being changed so that it would be apartment buildings there, and that was our concern, is many, many children, and our area of making sure it's safe, you know, where if it's commercial, we've just got a commercial building and things like that, we were never worried about that. We figured Maverick, I mean, right in here, it would turn into commercial buildings. So that's our concern, is making sure we're understanding so that whatever decision is made, we make sure we become responsible in making sure we have it the way it needs to be too, if it changes. Thank you.
Anyone else want to come and speak on this matter? Come on up.
My name is Casey Marker. I reside at 2706 West, 4000 South. My parcel is the long parcel on the east part of that development. We were, about 10, 11 years ago, we were zoned CC. I just wondered where we were at as far, are we like excluded from this? Or where, I mean, originally we were supposed to be part of that whole development. We tried to fight being zoned commercial. We wanted to stay residential. We were told we didn't have a choice because of the master plan. And now I just had questions where we're at on that as far as my parcel on that. That's all I had.
Thank you. Anyone else? There being none, Mr. Parkinson?
We gotta move out.
I'm going to leave.
I move we go out of public hearing.
Is there a second?
A second.
All in favor?
Who seconded it?
Aye.
Who did?
Jason and Samantha.
Any opposed?
No.
There being none, we're now out of the public hearing. Now Mr. Parkinson has a chance to speak.
I'll answer the question on property being currently, you're the one that just east?
There's two parcels. The bigger lot is not me. I ordered a subdivision off of 4,000. My frontage is on 4,000.
Okay. You're not part of that. It's hard to point out without. There'd be two parcels. Sorry, you guys are gonna lose here a second. Are you
Yeah, right there, the pink one.
this one?
Skinny one.
Here.
Yes, that's
Yeah, so you're currently zoned community commercial.
okay.
I wonder, I don't know when that happened, and I'm sorry they forced you.
No, it's okay. I just,
Yeah, so-
I talked to somebody about a month ago up here, and they told me I was being difficult to sell. I just wondered where the development was going on. I said, I haven't heard from anybody for 2 years. So I just wondered what was going on, if I'm excluded. We talked about selling, but I don't know what's going on.
But I'm not gonna speak for the developer, but it's kinda hard when, I don't know what the person to the west of you, if they've, are interested in selling as well or not. If they aren't and you are, it's kinda hard to develop that skinny little parcel. So, yeah, but yeah, you're zone commercial. I don't know if that's good or bad. As for the swimming pool, it is a concern having kids that go into there. I'm not sure when the pool was installed. It's been years. There should be at least a 6-foot fence around it already. So hopefully that will stay kids from going. There,
Right now it's chain link.
yeah,
It's in the works that it's going to become vinyl.
yeah,
You can't go
Yeah, the ordinance just requires a 6-foot fence. It doesn't say if it has to be opaque or not, so chain link would work. Just has to have gates that are lockable behind you. The only way to get into it really is illegally climb the fence or go through the home. The unfortunate part is you really can't, if, it's like glass doors are good for those who want to obey the law. So it's kind of hard to say kids won't, but you've taken all the precautions to protect. So, I wish I could say absolutely no one will ever do it, but,
You know, I mean, we don't get to pick and choose, but we'd rather it be commercial there.
Right.
We'd like to see Roy keep developing with more businesses down there. You know, we would like to see that because we think that keeps, you know, we're pretty progressive and, you know,
Right.
we're tired of everyone being involved. And we think it keeps the city building too and making more businesses.
yeah. Well, as I mentioned, if the developer does find someone who wants to go back there commercially, they'll request another rezone for that. It's just right now, it's hard to get someone to go back there. And he wants to keep his options open in case someone does want to put an apartment complex back there. I mean, it won't be huge, but just in case, so.
Do any of the commissioners have any questions of Mr. Parkinson? There being none, I will entertain a motion on item number 3 and item number 4.
We have to do them separate, though.
We'll
Do
do
it
3
separate, so,
first.
yeah, 3 first.
Go on, somebody else make it.
Yeah.
You find it, Jason?
I make a motion that we recommend the request to amend the zoning map from R3 to community commercial with the conditions outlined in the staff report.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor? No,
Roll
roll call.
Commissioner Mifflin?
Aye.
Did I say that right? Hey. Commissioner Spar?
Aye.
Commissioner Karas?
Aye.
Commissioner Bills?
Aye.
Commissioner Payne?
Aye.
Commissioner Collins?
Aye.
Chair Brand?
Aye.
Passes. Again, this is just a recommendation, and it does go to the city council next Tuesday.
We'll move on to item 4, accept a motion to, regarding item number 4.
I move that we recommend to the city council approval of the primary subdivision of Roywell subdivision located at approximately 5713 South, 3100 West, with the conditions as stated within this report. Did I get the right one? Or is this? It's at 2792 West, 4000 South.
Yeah.
Got the wrong one.
Yeah, the subdivision had a different address than the rezone, just to keep it
Just to
separated.
confuse me.
Right, just to confuse us. We understand your plan.
Anyway, that's what I recommend.
Okay.
All right, is there a second for that
I'll
motion?
second.
All in,
Roll
All in favor now?
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There being none, that passes. Okay, we can move on to item number 5, if I can read. That is to consider a request for architectural approval of the Bonneville Meats located at 1875 West, 4000 South.
Edward Walsh with Construction 360. We represent Bonneville Meats, Bo McDonald, and address 5577 Day Lily Drive, Morgan, Utah, 84050.
Thank you.
All right, so what they've got there now is we built the center freezer last year, and now it's phases 1 and 2 to enclose where their shipping and receiving departments are to get them out of the weather. So basically, they bring the product out of the warehouse now, the coolers now, and it's outside. And so more of FDA approvals and that to get where that product isn't sitting outside ready to be loaded and offloaded onto trucks. So we have one side of it, which is the this side here with the 4 doors. This is the shipping section here, and then this would be the receiving one. We'll have to cut down for the docks for the big semis to pull in, and create a loading dock and offset center there for them to pull in, and that will happen next year. So, the same product. It's these will be manufactured steel buildings for the structural piece of it, and then the front facade on the right, the receiving side will just have the same stucco look as that IFAS look as the center building there, and same for the receiving side will have the same IFAS look as well. And so same product, same color, nothing really different, and it'll be steel studs on the sidewalls with the EPS foam integrated into them.
Do any of the commissioners have any questions of the applicant?
No.
No.
Pretty straightforward.
Straightforward. Mr. Parkinson?
Yeah, as mentioned, this is just a request to add on to the building. Most of you remember the request the last time they did. The only question I had for the applicant was when they first proposed it was going to be a flat roof, and then when it was done, it's a gabled roof. So I'm not sure how that gable's going to affect the rest of the stuff. The other thing, and I didn't put it in the staff report, is anything that's longer than 30 feet does have to have some sort of vertical break, so we'll have to kind of look at that when we get to the final stages, but maybe you can help with.
Stay on that picture there. So these new roofs will be a one rake roof, and then they'll have a slight overbuild that'll come over across here, and then create a valley that will just come down. These eave heights here will be lower than this eave height, so it'll cross approximately about right here, where the water then will run off onto the other roof and downspout. So it just have some overbuilds that are on the plans that are drawn on the structural plans there. So that's where, so you'll have that look. So because they're not freezers, and reason why we went with pitch roof on we got more insulation factor, and we're able to keep that a lot more efficient for them.
That was just how is it all going to work? I know it's more of a building side to the issue, but it's just if I didn't know if those were going to be pitched roof as well, and it would just kind of be up and down or not. But yeah, so the only
single slope from the existing building to the east.
okay. Yeah, so the only aspect in the staff report it would need to amend and is just anything longer than 30 feet would have to have some sort of vertical break. Now again, the ordinance doesn't say what, how, and how big. It could be a 2x4 that's stuck out and stuccoed up, and that creates the issue. So I can get with the applicant and have them figure out how and where it's going to be.
Okay.
But other than that, staff recommends approval with the conditions as mentioned.
Okay. Any questions of either of these gentlemen? Then we'll have a motion.
Make a motion that we approve the request for architectural approval for Bonneville Meats, approximately 1815 West, 4,000 South, with the conditions that were in the staff report.
Is there a second?
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? There being none. Thank you, sir. We'll move on to item number 6. Consider a request for architectural approval of the KFC located at approximately 5445 South and 1900 West. Is the applicant here?
They are not. They had some scheduling conflicts and asked if I would just kind of step in or postpone it. And I said, no, it's not big enough to postpone. So they're just looking, you got the KFC that is there now. They're looking to add on some light fixtures. They'll be on the top of the roof pointing down towards the building, basically just light it up and make it a little bit more safer. My personal opinion is I'm not happy with the lights, but our ordinance doesn't say it has to be a certain style, it has to be a certain color, it has to be this or it has to be that. by lack of standards, the light would meet our standards for that aspect. So again, they're just looking to upgrade the building and put in, I think it's like a dozen or so lights on the top of the building pointed down. So staff would recommend approval.
All righty. I'll accept a motion.
Make a motion that we approve the architectural request for KFC located approximately at 5445 South, 1900 West.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? There being none? Motion carried. This is item number 7, is to consider a request for architectural approval of Midas Cars LLC, located at approximately 5765 South, 1900 West. Hi.
Hi, my name is Joanne Farhatnia, and I'm representing Midas Cars. We just started a new business, a used car dealership. I think it was a used car dealership before. And unfortunately, we didn't know that. We thought we should paint it before we get our license to improve the building. So we painted it and then came to apply for the license because it looked so bad. And then they were so kind as to tell us that we were supposed to do that first. So I am here
To ask forgiveness.
to ask for forgiveness and to get a permit. I get permission that for the paint job that we have done completed. So this is what it looks like now, and you saw the picture of it before. It was a pale yellow. I mean, it was, you know, it was pretty bad. And we've repaved the parking lot there as well, and planted some flowers, and I have my son cutting the grass, so trying to keep the front presentable, and that's why I'm here.
As mentioned, it's a request to change the colors of the building. Again, you'd kind of think, is that a modification of the exterior? And yes and no. I mean, a change of color can be construed as a modification. It's not a huge, that's why I didn't really think it's going to be that big of a deal, and, you know, of the colors. Our ordinance doesn't have, and I don't want to make it sound like we don't have standards, but we don't have high standards of what colors have to be.
These are not inconsistent with our rules. is
There
what
we
you're
go.
telling me.
You know, it's not like some cities to the south of us that require it to be earth tone colors, even though I could argue that the blue is earth tone because it's the color of the sky, but we won't go there. But it, you know, it meets the ordinance. I think it does improve the building itself, kind of brings it out of whatever that was.
Oh, I drive by there 3 times a week, and it looks better than it used to, so.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any questions from any of the commissioners?
You're gonna paint the blue part black to match the high school colors? I was gonna say, you're gonna paint the blue part black so it matches the high school colors and not Bonneville's colors?
Ooh. That's,
Just a thought.
you'll understand after you live here longer.
Yes.
Okay. All right, I'll entertain a motion to this item.
Make a motion that we approve the architectural review that has already been completed by Midas Cars, located approximately 5550 South at 2700 West.
1900 West.
1900 West.
19 West.
1900 West.
I'm just reading off. your
Yeah, no,
form.
you're good.
That's Steve,
When you
sorry.
write
Thank you, I appreciate
10
that.
staff reports in 4 days, it
Yeah.
And I'll second that.
Okay, now that there's a second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? There being none, it passed. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll move on to item number 8, and that is to consider a request for architectural approval for the Barclay Group located at approximately 1967 and 1985 West.
We already did
We
that.
did that. She was the.
That was the one
we-
that the lady had the airplane, huh?
Yeah.
No wonder it sounds familiar. We'll move on to item number 9. Consider a request for architectural approval for Diamond J Management Group located at approximately 5975 South, 1900 West.
I brought some stuff. Sorry, I'm not that prepared. It was a last minute thing, and I apologize. Anyway,
Your name and your address.
sorry, Joe Jepson. Address of the building?
Address where you live.
Oh, 1444 South Beacon Drive, Salt Lake City, Utah.
Okay.
Unfortunately, bad traffic today.
Sorry
so
about that.
Coming back down here. Anyway, as Steve, I didn't realize we're looking to put a small laundromat. The address is 5973 South, 1900 West Roy. Small little vacant building there. We build really nice, typically smaller laundromats for the community, high-end laundromats, and we like to keep the same look for our buildings. And so when we submitted our plans, they look roughly like, that's the building, but I think he has this, and it's not color, but I could pass this around, and this is what it would roughly look like. Anyway, it is metal. I didn't know that I had to get approval to do all, we haven't done it yet or anything like that, but it's going through the planning process. And Steve had mentioned that we need to get approval on that. And then I read through the ordinance and found out you don't allow metal on buildings, and that's what we put on all of them. So to try to make them look the same. We've done a similar building in Roy with the same, not Roy, Clearfield. I believe they didn't allow metal either, but in this situation they did because we were willing to put more materials on the building to make it look a little better. And so I didn't have time to get a sample for what we wanted to do, but I had some pictures I could give you guys. I could give them to Steve or give them to you guys now of different options. Like right now, I believe, if you could go back, Steve, currently it has brick on the base of the building. Sorry, that's the wainscot of the building. On the parapet, we're going to be putting shiplap around it, as you can see there, and it's a nice, deep, rich wood. And here's a rough sample of it right there. It's a real nice product. It won't age, it won't fade. It has like a 20-year warranty on it, I believe. We've had good luck with that product for our parapets. And then, I don't know why they cut it like this, but this is the steel, and it goes like this. It's very large corrugated steel. It's architectural steel. So it's not just normal corrugated roofing steel. It's made to put on the outside of buildings. And so that'll go on the main section. And then I'm proposing to mix it up a little and then either put, and I could get Steve those samples, I didn't have enough time, either brick like kind of what's there now, or a board and batten, concrete board and batten down there that I thought would look really good. And I have an example of what that would probably look like for you guys, and then what the brick would look like. I have other examples too, but really brick, board and batten, and what the current plans call for, or what we're hoping for, so, on it. Anyway, that's all I have, I guess, and unless you guys want, I only have one copy of each, but if
Okay.
you guys want to see it.
Is there any questions by any of the commissioners of the applicant?
I have a question. So are we voting on, are we gonna allow metal? I don't understand. Like, are we allowing metal or is that coming? Oh, never mind. I'll wait.
Staff will tell us in a minute.
Okay.
This is
Sorry,
in
jumped
accordance
the
with the
gun.
future
Good.
use ordinance.
Okay, yes, our ordinance currently says that metal cannot, or is not an approved material. But you should know that right now we're in the process of changing our ordinance, and this area would be one of those that gets a change to where be more aerospace, which is metal and glass and stuff, and that's what our ordinance is being changed to. It isn't today, but we're hoping, for tomorrow. So that's why I told them just to go ahead and come on in with there's 3 different types of materials. Today, I think we can kind of not overlook, but allow for the metal, knowing that when that mixed-use zone does get approved, then the metal and stuff would be appropriate. In that zone, we're also looking that, that metal isn't dominant. It does have other materials with it, so this would coincide with that ordinance. So that's why I felt that we could come before this body. You can approve it or not, but knowing that that's kind of the direction that we're going towards, is to have those type of materials allowed in the zone. So
If we approve the metal part, is that a non-conforming use at this point?
it's not a non-conforming use
I'm sorry.
because the use is allowed.
It is
It'd be a
allowed.
non-conforming material,
Material, okay.
but
But it is consistent with what we believe is going to happen to
yeah,
that area
consistent
when
with
we
what
do the
we've
new
talked
general
about
plan
and been going
next
with.
week.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Now, the only question I have for the applicant is I'm not sure what board and batten is.
Oh, so it's pretty much you put board up, it'll be a concrete type board, so it'll age very well. And then about every foot, you have a strip of about 2 by 1 that goes down. And so, sometimes you'll see it mixed with shake shingle, or even concrete board siding.
Okay.
Mr. Parkinson, turn around.
Oh,
That is board and batten, except that's way wide and it's usually like a foot wide and then the
okay.
down strip.
So it's in this room, is what you're saying.
Yes, this would be
open your
board and
eyes.
batten, but it's just a lot smaller.
Yeah.
Or,
But
yeah, it'd be a lot skinnier.
experience is a good teacher. I lived in a board and batten house. That's how I know what board and batten is,
They're good looking most of the time.
most of the time.
So in this
Alrighty.
case, you could recommend approval, and if he's got brick or board and batten on the bottom wainscot, maybe you discuss amongst yourself what you would prefer before a motion's made, and then kind of go down that road.
What are you gonna do with the landscaping?
Oh, we'll redo it all. It's gonna look really good when we're all done, so.
Well, I mean, are you gonna keep the grass and stuff, or are you gonna make that all pavement? or-
Right now, we plan on keeping the grass.
Okay.
And putting in a new sprinkler system and some grass. I think, but we're not sure about a new sprinkler system. If it needs it, we'll do it, but we don't know if it needs it right now.
Okay.
Yes.
Will you tell me what the address is again?
I
know where
always
s-
forget this.
You know where 7-Eleven is?
Well, I know, but I thought he said 5973 and this says 5975.
It's got 2 addresses, 73 and
Oh.
75.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I didn't know if it mattered.
I have 5973 on my
Our house
architectural
files have
plans.
75, so.
Oh, okay.
But the building has both.
Okay.
Yes, it does.
Okay.
So it's just right north of 7-Eleven, east of that preschool.
Well, I know where it was.
Yeah.
I just didn't know if that needed to be fixed.
Any other questions? There
Well, at
being
this
none?
point, for me, anything that's better than what it is currently. So I don't
I
care if it's
agree.
about board and batten or
I
if
agree.
anybody else has a stronger opinion about that than I do. I don't.
Okay. Then I'll entertain a motion.
Okay, I'll try this. I don't know if I'm doing this right. So what do I say first? I
Just-
recommend.
Just read.
No,
Oh.
this
We-
is approval.
Oh, we're gonna approve a request for architectural approval for Diamond J Management Group located at 5975 South, 1900 West, including the recommendations by the staff report.
And
Do I
what-
say all that?
Uh-huh, and what
Okay.
materials do you want on the bottom?
Oh, do I get to decide?
That's your motion.
That's your motion.
I don't know. Anything that looks better than what's there now.
It gives me no direction, so if he brings anything,
Oh, so what am I supposed to say?
Do you think board and batten?
Oh, board and
concrete
batten would be great. I
or-
don't know.
or brick.
Or brick. Oh, well, you guys like this, so we'll do this. Board and batten on the stuff. So I don't do this part.
And I will second that, without a giggle.
Sorry.
Without a giggle.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There being none, motion carried. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And we will ride by to make sure it looks better.
Okay.
All righty.
I promise. Do you need these, Steve, by the way?
No,
No.
unless you plan on changing colors.
Yeah, right.
No. These will be the colors.
I've got a small sample of materials that I could build a small shed with right now.
Okay, we'll move on to item number 10. This is the commissioner's minute. This is the time for any of the commissioners to say what's on their mind or not. Anybody have anything they want to bring before the board tonight?
I don't have anything.
There being nothing, we'll move on to item number 11, staff update. Mr. Parkinson?
Update, speaking about the ordinance, I've got the last section on my desk. There's 10 chapters in it, and so I've got the last chapter and just kind of going through it to see this is the administrative section. So I'm going through our current ordinance and comparing it to this and seeing if I would either need to make changes to our ordinance or to this.
Okay.
Because
So-
it's
so
it's
the-
kind of one of those
yeah.
that has, you go through each chapter, just like our zoning ordinance, and you do certain things. So I got to make sure we're not having some ambiguousness and/or problems within it. So
Good.
we're close,
Closer than we were last time,
obviously.
obviously, okay. Anything else, Steve?
Unless you have some questions on any projects.
You know,
I mean-
the timeline on any of these?
I mean, what?
Any of these projects, like maybe the first one we did with that massive gym? They said that they're gonna start in a year or something?
They'll probably do the tenant finish before they do the exterior. They're wanting to get the northern section done first, and then, because they want to keep the gym open, modify the interior of the north section, kind of move everything over, then modify the south section. When the exterior happens, I don't know. They wanted to kind of separate it so that the exterior doesn't conflict with the interior.
But it'll be an improvement.
Yeah. I mean, they're gonna take the whole building, because right now half of it is vacant, so it'll be nice to have the whole thing.
Occupied.
The great thing is if you really looked at all those projects, they're all within a block of each other. You got the gym, the Midas, this laundromat. They're all
Cleaning themselves up.
cleaning themselves up to make that kind of the neighborhood down there a little bit better. Now, if we can get all the fix-it, repair car things to do the same thing, it'd be great, but one building at a time. O-Town will probably be, the laundromat will probably be quick. Midas, it's done.
Oh, I didn't know that.
KFC, I've got the permit sitting on my desk waiting for this approval, so I'll sign it and they'll issue it. And then Bonneville Meats, they're just going through building review right now to make sure that it meets the building code and stuff, so. And then they'll need to get some modifications to the exterior to me, for the vertical separation of any wall longer than 30 feet, so. So quickly.
Our subdivision at the end of 6,000 is going pretty quick.
Yes, it is.
The lots are not cheap.
That I don't know.
Friend of mine's daughter bought one down there, 116,000
For the lot?
for the lot.
How big are they?
They're a quarter acre.
8,000, 9,000 square feet.
It's like, holy cow.
Wow. Yeah, the issue with those is there's no basements allowed. When they did their geotech report,
It's like, oops.
Oops.
the water table's 3 feet under
Well, that whole area.
where it's at now, where the
Yeah.
grade is now, so. JP Bar Farms, which is right east of it, has the same issue,
Yeah.
so. But it is what it is.
It's all about supply and demand.
Yep.
Then, I believe we'll move on to item number 12. I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting is adjourned.
I'm exhausted. That was a lot.
That was a long meeting.
Surprised we got in time.